Colin Kaepernick is now the figurehead of Nike's Just Do It campaign. This led to a litany of right-wing flip-outs. People took to social media and started burning their Nikes, which is kind of funny. So this is, typical dividing lines here. Basically, let's be totally real here. It's older white dudes who are right-wing, who are flipping out, I'm never going to wear Nike again, man. And you have pretty much everybody else is just like, oh, cool. Hey, good for Colin Kaepernick. So I want to play you the ad because after the backlash, there was no backpedaling at all from Nike. In fact, if anything, they doubled down and they released the first commercial that actually has Colin Kaepernick in it. Before, it was just the picture of Colin Kaepernick would Just Do It, and it says, you have to be willing to lose everything, something along those lines. So let me play you the first commercial with Colin Kaepernick, and then I want to come back, and I have a lot more to say about this.
If people say your dreams are crazy, if they laugh at what you think you can do, good. Stay that way. Because what non-believers fail to understand is that calling a dream crazy is not an insult. It's a compliment. Don't try to be the fastest runner in your school or the fastest in the world. Be the fastest ever. Don't picture yourself wearing OBJ's jersey. Picture OBJ wearing yours. Don't settle for homecoming queen or linebacker. Do both. Lose 120 pounds and become an Ironman after beating a brain tumor. Don't believe you have to be like anybody to be somebody. If you're born a refugee, don't let it stop you from playing soccer for the national team at age 16. Don't become the best basketball player on the planet. Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. When they talk about the greatest team in the history of the sport, make sure it's your team. If you have only one hand, don't just watch football, play it at the highest level. And if you're a girl from Compton, don't just become a tennis player. Become the greatest athlete ever. Yeah, that's more like it. So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
Okay, from a sheer marketing perspective, that ad was amazing. I'm a sucker for inspirational stuff sometimes, and I don't know, I love that stuff. My favorite quote is, "You are what you do." It's such a simple thing, but I feel like it encapsulates so much, because that just means no, you don't get to override what you do. What you do is actually what you are, so get after it. And that doesn't mean that there aren't hurdles in people's way, and sometimes tremendous hurdles in people's way, and sometimes they're unfair hurdles. And in a 100-yard dash, you're starting at the 0-yard line, and you're looking ahead of you, and somebody's starting at the 72-yard line, and you're like, this is bullshit. But I am a sucker for inspirational stuff because you can only control what you can control. So when it comes to stuff like sports, for example, and just competition in general, yeah, play your heart out, fight, keep pushing yourself. And then if you do that, then when you lay your head on your pillow at night, you can rest easy because you say, listen, I did everything I could. I left everything out there for whatever it may be, but I left everything out there. I tried my hardest, and that's all I can do. And then you can be comfortable with letting the chips fall where they may. And it's all about, I know it's cliche, but it's all about the journey, not the destination. So I like that ad, and I think that ad was about a lot more than just the political angle of stuff. But now let's talk about that. Let's talk about the political angle of stuff. So listen, don't be naive. here's why Nike did what they did. It's not like, oh, they're woke and they, they're conscious. No, because people were treating like conscious capitalism or whatever. No, what they did is they made a business decision. And here's what they found out. You crunch the numbers and you go, oh, shit. You know who's mostly wearing Nike stuff? It's young people of color and also young whites who align more politically with those young people of color. And you know who's not wearing Nike as much? This doesn't mean there aren't exceptions. Of course there are exceptions. But usually older white men who tend demographically, statistically, to lean more right-wing. So they crunch the numbers and they go, okay, our demographic align with Colin Kaepernick, and they align with him strongly. Now, Nike had to know that there was going to be a huge backlash from the people who disagree with them on this. But they did it anyway, because again, they crunched the numbers and they said, well, this is the right business move to do. We're going to be serving a much broader contingent of our demographic if we come out on the side of Colin Kaepernick. Now, that is the amoral reality of it. That's the dollars and cents bottom line of it, is that if they thought this would lose them money, they wouldn't do it. So don't, get it twisted and think like, oh, they're more moral than other corporations. No, a corporation is a corporation. They are amoral by definition, and they did what they did because they know it's going to work out for them from a business perspective. New Balance wouldn't do that because New Balance, they're more worn by older white dudes who statistically lean more right-wing. So they wouldn't say, we back Colin Kaepernick, and then alienate the people who are the majority of their customers. So that's the reality of it. But still, having said that, I still am happy they did it, in this for the same reason I'm happy when corporations started coming out and backing gay marriage, because that's still the correct position. And it's a similar dynamic going on here. When it came to corporations coming out on the side of gay rights, it is largely because gay people are also consumers too, and they don't have some irrational ideological and theological hatred of religious people. So they wanted to be more inclusive, and corporations do understand that different ethnicities and sexual orientations and religions and backgrounds, all people are, at the end of the day, are people, and they need to eat food, they need to buy clothes, and they want to appeal to all these markets. So even though they're doing it for the wrong reasons, they're still on the right side, and I'll take it when they're on the right side, because God, is it frustrating when corporations are on the wrong side, and we're seeing that with the NFL now, and listen, here's the deal, man. People are acting like what Kaepernick did wasn't brave. He sacrificed his career to protest for an issue that he cared deeply about, which is police brutality. So now, listen, you don't have to agree with him on that issue. You could say, I don't think it's as big of an issue as he thinks it is, or you could discuss that and debate that. That's fine. But the thing that frustrates me to no end is when people try to pretend like that's not what he did. Like, oh no, he just hates the troops and hates our flag. Okay, you're an idiot and you just made that up. And what you're doing is you're saying, I'm comfortable with the wrong answer because it makes me feel better. I'm comfortable with strawmanning somebody because that allows me to still have my narrative and feel good and safe and happy. As opposed to acknowledging the objective reality, which is, even if I don't agree with him, he's taking a stand or kneeling for police brutality. And he's saying, I think we need to reform policing in this country. I think we need civilian review boards. I think we need to end the drug war. And like Kaepernick or hate him, I loved what he had to say about the election, Hillary versus Trump. He went after both of them. He didn't mince words. He was very clear. He seems to actually care about the substance, and it's not a partisan thing. He went into this clear-eyed. Clear-eyed, that's weird. And he probably knew, hey man, this might ruin my career. And what happened was he got blackballed by the NFL, and there was literally collusion where all the teams got together and said, okay, we're going to shut him out. Okay, we'll shut him out. Because the owners are mostly old billionaires who literally have admitted at times, like, yeah, we're kind of kowtowing to Trump because Trump's railing against him. So think about that. Donald Trump, who, by the way, pretends like he believes in free speech. He spoke about that at a rally recently, like, oh, yeah, free speech, yeah, the conservatives being censored. But do you believe in free speech when you disagree with the person? Like with Kaepernick, no, you don't. Because he ranted about it repeatedly. I say they should get fired, and we'll get somebody else who will fucking stand for the anthem, So that's Donald Trump, the president, the head of our government, pressuring a private company to ruin a guy's career because he doesn't like the political message that that person is sending. And again, it's not that, oh, he hates the troops or he hates the anthem. No, he's doing exactly what people on the right tell people on the left to do when they have a grievance. Don't riot, don't be violent. What are you, crazy? You have to peacefully protest like Martin Luther King in order to try to get change. Well, in step Colin Kaepernick, he peacefully protests to try to get change, and you turn on him for that too. It's almost like you don't want anybody pushing for change, and you want them to sit down and shut up and take it. So here's a guy who lost his career to do the right thing. And now I'm happy that somebody stepped in and they're backing him up. Final point is this. Listen, Nike, they have terrible labor practices. So let's not pretend like they're woke and, oh, they care. No, they don't. They have like fucking Indonesian and Vietnamese sweatshops and shit. And listen, I'm not holier than thou. I have some Nike stuff. I wear Nike stuff. So I'm not coming at this perspective from like I'm better than all of it perspective. I'm just giving you the reality of the situation. That this is an instance where I agree with what they did, but it is a business move, and you got to keep that in mind. They know it's better for them, for their bottom line to do it. That's why they did it. And also, as they're pretending like, oh yeah, we care about humanitarianism. Well, if you did, perhaps you wouldn't be paying, some fucking teenagers $3 a day to work in a sweatshop to make your shoes. So this doesn't mean we disarm when it comes to, trying to improve labor practices. I still think that there should be laws to basically force these companies, incentivize these companies to keep their jobs in the U.S. first and foremost. But if they don't keep their jobs in the U.S., put tariffs on them so that they're incentivized to keep the jobs in the U.S. So in other words, try to get them to stop their shitty labor practices, and let's not overlook their shitty labor practices because they did something that you and I happen to agree with when it comes to social issues. But having said all that, I'm very happy that Colin Kaepernick is getting income because he was blackballed from the NFL because he took a stand for an issue that's bigger than him. He said, yeah, I want to try to change something in society for the better. So he's blackballed by the NFL for that, and now at least somebody's stepping up and going, you know what? If the NFL is going to enter the culture war on the wrong side, well, okay, at least on this specific issue, we'll enter the culture war on the right side. And I think that over time, what we'll find is you're going to have the left win on these issues because these do happen to be issues where, for better or worse, the money aligns more with left-wing values. Like I was talking about before, how corporations were for the right position on gay marriage because it's good for their bottom line to be a good person in that sense. Now, it's not good for their bottom line to pay people a living wage, so they're going to reliably be on the wrong side of that issue. But on this issue, they're going to be on the right side, and hopefully, and I think it will happen as time goes by, people will look at what Colin Kaepernick did in a similar way as we look at Muhammad Ali when he said, I'm not going to your Vietnam War. Vietnamese didn't do anything to me. I don't believe in your war. I think it's wrong. Now we look at that and go, damn, he was wise beyond his years. At the time, he was despised, and he was called un-American. He was called ungrateful. That's exactly what they're calling Colin Kaepernick. I think that over time, everybody will realize, oh yeah, hero, that was the right thing to do. And it's good that Nike realizes that now.